Welcome to Wake Up Hex. I'm your guy, KNTX, and we've got a pretty cool episode for you guys today. So, we're going to find out about what's been going on with this documentary. We're also going to find out what is being planned for Hex's 2-year birthday bash. So, stick around, guys. We've got some really cool things. In the meantime, I just want to say, hey, thank you guys for joining me here. We've got Sensei Dozy, Morton Hake, T-Bird, Will H., Bob Saget, the Mango Junkie, Be Master of Yourself, the Hexagon Contractor, Inviting Freedom, Hex in Effect, um, West Virginia Native. I won't say your name, Mr. Holler. Hex in Excess, Mel Tony, Zenkai Mindset, Crypto Ewok, Eagle AL, Alex Bodie, Alchemist Jess, it's Spike. It's good to see you, buddy. Jax Hexakin, Effortless Crypto, Exhibit, Mr. Crypto Rogers, Fatal Fury, Louis Sex. It's good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. We need to catch up. Alan Filzami. Hey, Alan, we'll talk to you about that Banhammer, getting you one of those, okay? I was giving you a hard time, but we'll talk about that. Nas Hex, Hexponential, Dorsey, RGS, Hex Turbo. It's good to see all you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Looks like we've got great showing up already, so I'm glad that YouTube algorithms are working correctly today, getting everybody notifications that we are live. With that, I think we have enough people on screen. Make sure to hit the like, smash that notification bell for your subscription. Make sure to subscribe and hit like. So with that, I am going to go ahead and pull up Mr. Grant Peel. How you doing, sir?
Hey, morning, KNTX. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, buddy. Doing great. I'm glad to have you back on.
Fantastic.
You guys have been busy, so I haven't been able to get you on the show sooner.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you can fill me in on what you've been busy on.
Man, I'll tell you what. What's wild about the ride that we're on is that it is a very emotional one. And I think that there's probably some truth in the fact that being invested in Hex or being a Hexagon comes with emotional roller coaster. Is that a fair statement?
Yes and no. There's a caveat to that.
All right.
Most of us that are staked long term, we don't care.
So you know what? I mean, I think that you're brave for saying that, but come on, man. There's some of that has to creep in. Like, we're human, right? Like, you look at numbers and numbers sometimes, even if you're like, okay, like I can't make an action on it, I can't whatever, but there still has to be a little bit occasionally a pit in the stomach and euphoria on the backside of it too, right? There has to be excitement.
Well, it depends. So if I'm about to put fresh new fiat into the system and I want to accumulate, I love these opportunities. I'm like, this is perfect. This is the time to do it. The only time that I kind of get that pit in my stomach is like, oh man, I'm going to have to good account this one and I'm going to have to pull it out in another week or something, is when you do have one stake that's coming up.
Right.
So I had one stake that expired yesterday and I'm like, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it at this point in time. Why would I even touch it? So,
Yep. All right. Well,
so
cool.
Okay, I'll give you that. There is just that little bit.
We are human, right? Like and I think too that there's that dream building on the backside of it that you can get excited about certain things as well, right? Where you start to dream in your mind what's possible. So that's kind of where we are with the documentary, right? Is that we're living in this little sense of both euphoria with what's possible and what we see is ahead of us in the next several months as we're diving deeper and deeper and deeper into production, but then there's also a little bit of overwhelm with where we are currently, because we have really saturated ourselves in wanting to learn as much as we possibly can, and that's kind of like the analogy of drinking from a fire hose, right? Where there's an awful lot coming at you, and so it's the perfect place to be, right? Like these are great problems. Like if you're going to have problems, these are fantastic problems to have, but they are the challenges that we're facing right now, is that we're kind of right in the midst of trying to gather as much information as we possibly can, do as much story discovery as we possibly can. And I'm proud to say that a lot of people have supported what it is that we're doing, and that they're providing us lots of information, or they're pointing us in the direction where we can discover that information. And so we're really starting to assemble a larger and deeper, more rich team that can help us do this work. So it's not, the smaller team, the nuclear team, trying to go about this alone. And I'm excited to be making those additions. I'm excited to be able to share that, there are wheels in motion with regard to investments in motion control units that are really going to take the production value and help us tell the story of the complexities behind a lot of the vocabulary and structure that is cryptocurrency, and really help demystify it for people like my mom or my 12-year-old son. So we're excited to have those plans in place. We're excited to be exploring what opportunities exist for, renting production studio warehouse space so that we can begin to engage with an art director and start to implement some of those sets that need to be built and some of those, complex models that need to be built and that kind of thing. So that's very exciting to be in that position. And then, we've just come off of a week with Richard in Copenhagen. So, it's fun to be back on the road and doing international work and getting to engage with him more deeply, more richly, and more frequently than just the discovery piece that we had done as a part of the sizzle reel. So, we're in it is the short answer. And along with that, then comes both the euphoria and the challenges on both sides.
Yeah, I can only imagine. As this is unrolling, I'm starting to think more and more like, man, there's so much good content to capture. I think the hardest part is going to be, how do you prioritize and put it in the right place in the film? Because I don't think we're short of any content, and especially now that Richard has given you guys full access to everything he's doing. That's I'm sure there's a lot of content you've already captured with the gentleman.
And, there is some truth in that. And then also, it's our job to be gold miners, right? To sift through all of the story that we have access to and to be stewards of that. In an effort to create and show forth the rich, incredible, engaging story that is presenting itself over time. And then along with that, we've already recognized that, it would be very sad if we weren't able to leverage some of these additional storylines in some way outside of the documentary itself, knowing that, we're limited to the time of the feature-length documentary and that not everything's going to be able to transcend to the specific story that's told through the doc. But there are also these incredible, storylines that are happening kind of parallel to this, that we feel like we really want to develop a place and a platform that people can go after the documentary to explore these additional storylines, to become educated on the space of cryptocurrency and Hex. And so that's one of the things that we've already committed to, is this idea that we really want to create an online platform that people can come to and can become additionally educated and additionally entertained alongside all of these other rich, awesome stories that aren't all going to be able to make the documentary. And so that's a stretch goal that we've established for ourselves in wanting to be able to honor, all of these stories and have a platform and a place that people can see them so that they don't go untold.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll have to uncover more of that on the back end, because I've got a whole team that would love to help you build that out. So we've got I've been talking to people on the background. If there's one thing that I do in this community is I network with other people, and I find a lot of opportunities. I have to pass up on a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot of people I think that would be perfect for that, exactly. It's helping you guys build out that back end platform. So it's not something that needs to be done right this moment. So I've been just taking down names and taking down people that have specific talents that I'll put you in contact with, because I think that you could really benefit from their expertise. And we're just super glad to see that you guys have taken this bull by the horn, so to speak. That you guys are trying to wrestle it to the ground and trying to put it in, this constricted time. Because this is 2 years worth of events that have rolled out, and that doesn't even speak to what's coming in the future here. So, and I know there's been a lot of alluding to things coming in the future from people on the team, from Richard himself. And so there's a lot of people who are really excited and around this mystique, this mystery around where this is going and what's the next step. And I think they're really smart to not just throw it all out there, because first off, we don't want promises from the work of others. And second of all, we want the weak hands to shake themselves out and have to buy back higher later. So let those people buy back higher at a later date after they realize, oh man, I didn't even sell the rumor, or I didn't even buy the rumor, I sold the rumor. So and a lot of people in this space will understand that. So going forward, there seems to be a really neat event that's about to take place.
Man.
And I'm hoping you can tell me a little bit about it. So
yeah,
we have pre-sales going on today, correct?
Yeah, so there's a milestone that Hex is about to achieve, and that is the 2-year anniversary, or we think as equally, if not more powerfully appropriate in terms of Hex, is to consider the number of days young that Hex is. And so there's an event that Richard is hosting in London to celebrate this 2-year anniversary of Hex on the evening of December 2nd, morning of December 3rd, which is basically that transition from the 730th to the 731st day of Hex. So at midnight, there'll be a great big toast. And then on either side of that toast is an event. And it's an event that he is welcoming the world to and is offering Hexicans an opportunity to come and be a part of. And so it's a party. It's a party that, due to COVID and limitations and practicalities, it's going to be limited to 500 people who can attend this thing. And there are tickets that are available today for sale for those who want to attend this celebration. And Richard, it was very important to him that this be approachable and that it not, I know that we have a very wealthy community, but they wanted this to be something that any Hexican of any net worth could participate in. And so there are a limited number of tickets available today. There are 100 tickets available at 180 British pounds is what it costs for one of those tickets. And there are 100 of those available. I believe that tickets launched about 45 minutes ago in sales. And so I think some of them have already been sold, but the math that I had received just prior to us going live was that there were roughly about 75 of those tickets remaining. So if you're interested, take advantage of jumping on that investment right now. Know that this is not like a wedding. So meaning that it's, you don't get a plus one. So for each person that you want to attend the event, you need to invest in the ticket. And then in addition to the 100 initial early bird tickets, then there are going to be general admission tickets available tomorrow, beginning tomorrow at 8:30 Central Time. We had to determine one of the time zones of the world from which to generate all of this stuff. And so Central Time tomorrow, 8:30 a.m., there are the general admission tickets that go on sale. But I'm sure that there are probably a number of Hexicans out there that would like to consider something that might be a bit more exclusive or interesting in terms of experience and access. And so they've created a Quattro Synchro club, so a 5555 VIP experience, and they are selling 55 tickets that are a part of this VIP, and that is for the event itself. It's kind of if you've ever gone clubbing, right? Like they always have that like VIP section that's got like the behind the rails and that kind of a thing or whatever. That's that kind of an experience the evening of. So there's a little extra care. There'll be, bar service that's available to that group that's exclusively only to that group. So you don't have to fight the larger crowd and all of those kinds of things. So, and there are only 55 of those tickets being sold, and those are 600 pounds each. And then, go ahead.
I want to preface this real quick. I want to preface this for some of the people in the chat. First off, this event is an all-out event. Trust me. I've seen the planning behind the scenes. This is not just, hey guys, let's meet up for a neat little meetup. No, this is a big deal. This is a very a very influential place. It is some influential people will be there. And so there's expenses involved with this. And this is to help recoup those expenses. And number two, if there wasn't a price tag, we'd be flooded with all kinds of wastoids just showing up to party. And that's so there is a reason behind all of this, the way that it has been set up, the way that it has been. This has been very, very well thought out by people from the PR industry that do this event coordination and planning on purpose. So
yeah, and it's a break-even event, right?
Yeah,
like the event itself isn't creating income for anyone, but it is creating a celebration that is worthy of Hex and a 2-year anniversary, right? So it's not like anything is being skimped on as a result of that, right? It's meant to really lean into and celebrate this in a way that is worthy of this milestone.
Yeah. And let's be honest, there's just too many of us Hexicans to have direct access to Richard. That's just not safe for all of us. That's not safe for him. It's not safe for the project that is known as Pulse Coming. So this is set up the way it is for a reason. So
So immediately, if you're interested, and that's why I lead with the tickets, is because I knew that, if people were interested, I wouldn't want them to miss out on it. So there's the 100 early bird, general admission tomorrow. The 5555 club is available immediately, and there's only 55 of those tickets that were available. And so that's really the call to action, is if you want to be a part of that VIP experience today, this morning is the time that you need to make that investment, because otherwise I would anticipate that doesn't last long.
No, I bet it doesn't.
Right. I would put the over under probably on that, 12 to 16 hour mark at best. And then in addition to that, then because the documentary is well underway, and because of the interest of the community want to continue to support that, we've opened and created another opportunity to donate to the film, and then have created something that's very fun as a thank you to those people who are continuing to make that investment in us. And that is there are 10 VIP experiences for those people who make the largest donations between now and November 15th to be a part of a pre-event cocktail. And that would be, Richard in a room with roughly 10, 15 people at most, the filmmakers, the producers of the film itself, Richard, a member or two of his team, and then the 10 people who have made the largest contributions to the film. And that's just going to be kind of a very informal cocktail kind of an event, in a very exclusive location that is definitely going to be worthy of you getting an opportunity to have conversation with Richard, to get to network and rub elbows with the other members who have made this level of contribution into the documentary, and then that experience as well. So it'll definitely be a room that the conversations that come out of that cocktail hour will be powerful, I'm sure. So would
so excited.
Encourage you to consider that opportunity, if that's the kind of thing that you've been waiting for, that you've been hopeful would present itself as a part of this. That's the way that you can participate and become an active participant.
I plan on being there, guys. It's not that that's a sales point for anybody, but I plan on being there. And I am going to probably fly into Portugal and swim the channel. So I'm going to swim the channel to get there. That's my plan. That's my plan. In the middle of winter. No big deal. No big deal. I got this. I got this. So I want everyone to know that it's hex731gathering.com. It's in the description below. Yeah. So if you guys want to go ahead and get your 555 club or your Lock It Up early admission or your early tickets, then by all means, that is available to you. Tomorrow morning, 8:30 Central Time, the general admission is available for everybody. So then keep in mind, we also have the highestofstakes.com down below as well for the additional tickets and the opportunity to meet with Richard, the pre-VIP pre-party. So and that's just the normal fundraising that is being done at this point in time to raise enough funds to get our post-production on point when it comes to, so the production's taken care of. Post-production is what we're aiming for now. So the better we can refine the film at the end, the better talent that we can have narrating it, whether that narrator shows up in the film itself. These are all factors of things that we're working on going forward. So you guys, as true Hexicans, can prove you guys are true Hexicans by wanting more people to see this. I have a hard time believing you're a real Hexican if you haven't donated to this film. I understand a lot of you guys are still staked at this point in time. And if you're just getting into Hex and you haven't had those gains yet, then forget I'm even talking to you. I'm not speaking to you guys here. I'm speaking to those of you guys that actually believe, that have a decent sized bag, and you want the 100 million people plus to see this. Because as much as I love you, Hexikins, your tweets are not going to see 100 million people like this documentary is. So, so come out, support it as true Hexikins. Make sure that we have a real work of art, a masterpiece, so to speak, so we can put in front of hundreds of millions of eyes. So, really important, guys. That's down below.
So, KNTX, I'm receiving inside information that they're saying that these tickets are going pretty quickly. So, I would just encourage those that if you're on the fence, you know, you definitely need to consider acting quickly as a result of the interest and activity that's happening right now. So just want you to know that like early bird is nearly half sold already.
Yeah, I believe it. As
is VIP. So like
Children of the Grave,
there's a momentum and an interest that's hitting and happening at the moment. So
I believe it. I believe it. My Shy Shrimp wallet can't afford it either, Children of the Grave. So that's why I am swimming the channel. I will swim the channel to be there. So I sold half of my Shy Shrimp wallet to get into this Cuatro Cinco club. So I will be there. I'm gonna see. I can't wait to meet so many of you guys, especially since our show here is probably where the most, other than like Hodl Dog's show, this is where probably the most Europeaners get to see what's going on in the Hex community. This show was designed for that, so that we could get that side of the globe that couldn't be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning to see the night show that Captain had started. So I'm really excited to meet you guys. A lot of you guys in my chat here are over there in the UK and some places around Europe that I think this will be an opportunity for us to get together and finally meet. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to bring up, I think there might be some questions. I got some guys here. I really wish Proof of Beard would show his beautiful Viking face. I don't know why he's not, but I'm curious if you guys have any questions for Grant here. So I brought you guys in so you guys could.
Hey man, good to see it.
How you doing, Grant?
Doing beautifully, thank you.
So this whole shebang is coming through, and how long has it been since the tickets were on sale and already half sold out? That's crazy.
Not even an hour. So yeah, so things are. Yeah, I mean it's
so I should sit through this stream and then miss out on buying my ticket, is what you're saying then?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is leave the stream.
Okay.
Go make the or bring up a separate window or a tab in your browser.
Right.
Right.
Share my screen. Enter my credit card information.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's a good question. How long do you guys plan on filming? Through what quarter do you guys plan on filming before going to post-production?
So it's easier to kind of reverse engineer than it is to plan specifically, like in terms of the date for when we would end filming, because we have found filmmaking to be a lot like water. It fills the vessel that you give it. Right. So if you say, I'm going to create something in 2 weeks, you can create it in 2 weeks. Right. It may be stunted and limited, and you know what I mean? The work may reflect that. Or if you say, I'm going to take 20 years to create this film, you could do that as well. Right. So what we do want to do is honor the story, the opportunity, but be timely in the message, because you don't want to delay this thing too far out in advance either. Mm-hmm. Right. So the goal would be to be in a position where this could be distributed at the end of Q3 or the beginning of Q4 of 2022, right? So roughly call it a year from now, the film itself could come out. If you reverse engineer that and all of the things that need to happen in terms of post-production and also in terms of delivery, these OTTs are going to demand that there's a whole host of languages that this is available in, that there's closed captioning in each of these different languages, that the codec and the compression of the piece itself meets specific standards. So as you begin to kind of reverse engineer that, you're talking about months of processing there, plus the editing itself. Plus we really are hopeful that the budget affords us to be able to do, live sessions of, orchestration, so that we're recording soundtrack to the picture like you would, Hollywood feature. And so if you start to reverse engineer that back, then you're looking at somewhere in Q2 where filming is going to need to die down, and that you're only doing pickups for specific needs that present themselves in post-production. Now,
by the way, for everyone who doesn't speak Hollywood speak,
Yeah, right.
OTT means over the top, which is streaming platforms.
Yes,
So,
right. Which is and your large streaming platforms, right? Like the goal is
top 5.
Netflix, Hulu, Apple, Amazon Prime. Right, exactly. Right. Like
top
your
5.
your big dogs. And then so that does that mean that production ends April 1st, or does that mean that it ends April 31st? Well, like, there's a lot to be said in terms of what story is going to present itself in that period of time. But principal production is going to happen over the next several months, the next 3 to 6 months. And then driving toward that benchmark that I've already talked about with regard to distribution. Now, if something presents itself in some crazy or wild way, we would want to serve the story, but that is definitely the goal here.
Yep.
And this is not a in 4 weeks answer, right? There's definitely more constraint to it right now than that in 4 weeks that I'm sure that y'all have been hearing for quite some time. So.
Grant, I'm so curious. I'm so curious about this. Has the counterpoint, has the arch nemesis presented itself yet? Or are we going to find out that it was ourselves all along?
Right. Yeah. Right. It's kind of like in the Never-Ending Story, right?
Yeah.
Where
Right.
The young character gets to the end and then he's presented with a mirror.
Right. Yeah, right.
No, the enemy that you have to overcome. Well, in this instance, we're really still identifying and welcome conversation around who can best present this like fierce, opposition in an intelligent way, and not just a way that is barking and theatrics. So we still welcome that invitation from the community to help us identify that. I'm sure that we're going to, traditionalists will offer a whole host of conversation around that or whatever, but we really need somebody who is screaming from the rooftops that Hex is a scam. Here's why, how, and making an intelligent argument in that regard.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. We haven't found any yet, man.
Come on, community. Come on.
There was this other guy
the
that
problem
wanted
is
to make a
that
documentary. He's still
the problem
searching.
is there's no actual empirical data behind it. All they say is it's a scam, and it's like that's not a lot of proof as to what you. And even the most recent YouTube channel that just came out with is Hex a scam? I'll tell you why. And it's like, man, you used an outdated article from the very beginning that didn't even have all the facts. Like, that was pretty poorly researched. So you're going to find a lot of that. That's the problem we're running into right now. If any of you guys can think of like the antithetical, the protagonist to the Hex story, if you guys can reach out to me, if you guys know how to reach out to the film crew, that's great. If not, just reach out to me. I'll put them in touch with these people. I've got some connections within the community, not necessarily the community, but within the crypto space that I can get a hold of pretty much anyone that's a YouTuber, influencer on in the crypto space. And I've talked to some people that might shock you guys. So we can get them. That's not a problem. I just need you guys to point them out. I need you guys to show us who they are.
Give us better opponents, please.
We need better opponents. As Richard always says, we need better opponents. Give me a better opponent. What's your distribution plan? I think this is really neat. So I think he discussed, you've got to make sure everything's on point. You got to meet all the classifications and the underlying design aspects that the OTTs want before they'll put you on. But you guys have another part of the distribution plan that I think is brilliant. Are you willing to go into any of that at all, or does that hurt our tactics?
I think that the thing that I would want to share, so as to avoid any of this, promise coining, is to say that the goal of this is the largest viewership, right? Like, that is the goal of the story here, and that is really over maximizing any return that the film is to see, and that we're in alignment with the producers in the documentary, that is the goal of this piece, and that every effort, energy, and idea will be around supporting that. And so we do feel that there's real value in going to the ponds that have the most fish, if what you're wanting to do is to catch the most fish, right? So that's why the primary goal would be one of these large existing, primary big 5 OTTs. And that's why, right? Because that makes sense.
Like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Apple TV, top 5. That's what. That's exactly the answer for you.
Right? Would be huge. So that's why we want to have conversations there, and we have relationships with people who can get us in those doors. And there's a bell curve to the opportunity and the timing around wanting to share vision of this thing with a platform like that, right? Like you don't necessarily want to be sitting on your couch telling them how you're going to go make a documentary about alley cats, right? And describing all of the great footage that you're going to have. But if you've spent the last 2 years of your life filming and, filming the lives of these alley cats, and you can put something together and share with them a vision of how you can complete that story with their support and get it distributed on their network, there's some real power in that. And so that's kind of where we are on this, is that
I hope you're not equating us to alley cats here.
Well, I think that, the analogy being like, I don't want to speak too heavily or specifically on our story, but I do want to share the idea that like there's a bell curve of opportunity.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in too early, and and there's even some argument to be made that you want this thing to be completed before you go to them, because if people get in a bidding war over something that's already made, that can be interesting as well. And it's not because of the return, it's because the more that they're invested in it, the more they're going to use their algorithm to make sure that it's seen. The more that you're going to be highlighted on their homepage, the more that they're going to be pushing it as a suggestion for people who have seen other pieces that are tangential to this. So that's really what you want, is you want their energy and support, because they can really help leverage their platform in a special way and influence what, the virality within their own platform of what gets seen more. And that's really what you want, right? More than the deep checkbook, you really want their support, because they can really drive the number of people that see stuff.
Hey, Grant, another question. And I mean, I'm an avid Netflix watcher, as I'm sure a lot of people are, but it seems to me that there's this formula that they're kind of pushing forward, that this, Dedelian rise and Icarian type of fall right into the water afterwards, right? We don't want a commercial for Hex or anything like that, or to boost Richard up, but would it make for a boring watching experience for the Netflix subscriber if this is just a happy thing that ends on a great positive note? I mean, it just seems like that's going to be a challenge for you.
Let me ask you this. Have the last 2 years been easy and without conflict?
No, absolutely
certainly not.
Exactly.
That's the story we're telling.
Okay.
So, right. So like, right. Like,
that's an interesting way. Yeah. But the conclusion is the thing that I'm always worried about. I'm like, is this going to be like and I told you so at the end? We don't know yet, right? We don't know.
Right. I think that in a perfect world, you're left kind of in a position where you want to learn more.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's the sweet spot, because you don't want to tie it in such a tight bow that that there's pushback or whatever. So there's an honesty to acknowledging that the journey is still ongoing, and that the question presents itself and will always forever be there. And it's the responsibility of an audience member then to make decision for themselves and educate themselves. So it's about piquing that curiosity, inviting that interest.
Yep. We've got Children of the Grey that says, "Let's leave meat on the bone for a part 2."
And I want to have a spin-off series as well.
It's funny. Yeah. Well, hey, all these things have been brainstormed, guys, have been thought about. So none of these are new ideas. It has to come together organically, and it can't be forced. That's the way I really want to put this to everybody, is you want it to be a true, compelling, entertaining story. And then as a sidebar, you get education. So that's where you win the hearts and minds, guys. We're not out to do a propaganda piece here. I think the product sells itself. It's sold me with its empirical data and its chart up and to the right forever. So I think it will do that for many other people too. And hopefully whatever brought you guys to Hex and made you guys true believers, other peoples will see the same thing, but in a more entertaining fashion. They'll be able to put all this together that you and I didn't have when we found this product. So pretty excited about that. So the strategy I wanted to kind of go over, and I was asking if it was okay before, but now I'm just going to blow the doors wide open on this, and you guys can pick up the pieces after I drop it everywhere. But one of the strategies that they have in mind is to submit it into all the different film festivals. So you start to get awards within these film festivals and you get recognition within these film festivals. It's a lot easier to go to these OTTs later. So you have the opportunity, something that's already have made some rounds, then they are typically more recognized when you do come to the big ones, right, Grant?
Yeah, the challenge with that is that those are synchronized events. Yeah. Right. So like we've come to love the online world because it's so asynchronous, right? Like we can call up things on demand when we want them on our timeline. Yeah. Film festivals aren't that way. I don't get to ask Sundance for an answer on Tuesday and to show my film on Friday, right? Like it happens once a year and it is when it is. So as a result of that, there has to be some patience that comes with that kind of a technique. And so, yes, I think that it warrants we explore that in its full and in its entirety. But, would want to recognize that the community would understand that can mean then that sometimes it's a bit of a kind of a golden handcuffs situation where you've been invited to something. And then as a result of it, it embargoes any availability to distribute or show that film prior to it being a part of that film festival, right? Because the moment that they invite you, they embargo your ability to share that piece with anybody else because what they want is the exclusivity, right? So that's definitely a demand there, is that we would need to recognize that and need to be tactical and purposeful in that.
So we may not be able to participate in every festival due to the strategic timing of the distribution model. But I think it's worth notating that it is something that is being explored right now.
100%. And the truth of the matter is, and I think that you've already hit on this, very wisely on several occasions here, KNTX, is that we're wanting to like wring the towel with all of this thought, right? Like we really want to invite any conversation, any ideas that the community has to explore, and to know that we are honoring each one of those ideas and we'll be making what we feel is the best choice on behalf of this story. It may not be the most popular choice, or it may not be the choice that individuals would have made, but collectively as a team, we will have made what we feel is the best decision to honor the goal of this story. And know that remains true now until the moment that this thing is released into the world. And then also in the follow-up to that, because it will be our responsibility once this thing is live to continue to drive traffic to people to want to see it, right? The work doesn't end just because the piece is released and is now online.
Yep. And then it really helps our industry as a whole, but even more so Hex on a more focused level, to have this resource page when you're done. So now you've learned that this thing called crypto and this wonderful product, the only finished product in crypto called Hex, exists. How do you learn more and how do you get involved? Well, now there's a resource page in which you can funnel people through. And I'm going to have to throw a huge shout out to Will and Caitlin and your marketing team. They are helping us right now with the personal trust for the Hexicans. They are the top of their game. Will and his team knows marketing and funnels like nobody I've ever seen before. And I'm no stranger to digital marketing and funnels. And even some of the stuff he was bringing to my attention is just blowing my mind. So that there's a whole brain trust behind. It's not just filmmakers here trying to do the business end, guys. There's business people and marketing people on the back end too that have that level of expertise that's second to none, that are really pushing this forward, guys. So you have the right team. We just need more funding to make it a bigger production. So thehighestofstakes.com, guys, thehighestofstakes.com in the description below. Also, I'm getting comments in here that people are trying to buy. Can you check with your team? Because it looks like they might already be sold out because people are being denied the buy button right now.
Let me look. I will ask.
Spin-off TV series, Hex in the City. So
yeah,
Wales was there. We had a Hollywood director, writer, screenwriter, and actor pitch us on some ideas and on a TV show. And it wasn't the TV show for our community. I'll tell you that much right now. It wasn't the TV show for our community, but there have been further talks with several content creators about this. I think I'm going to try to stay in-house with these guys. So we're going to have, but I don't want to get in the way of the filmmaking that they're doing now. So we'll discuss this going forward. But I think there's a huge opportunity for, I'm not going to throw a lot out there because every time I come up with an idea, someone tries to beat me to the punch on it. So
right.
I got some storylines, but I don't want to get in the way of this documentary. This documentary has to be priority number one. Has to be our main focus at this time.
Yep. So hey, I'm told that there are 40 tickets remaining. So just high traffic. So refresh.
Are those the Cuatro Cinco Club or the early?
I'm believing that's early bird. Okay. And then let me ask about the 5555.
I have a question for the event. There's some people that already asked if it's going to be live streamed. Is that a possibility? I'm not entirely sure how that would be because it's a paid event. I also don't know what it looks like, the event. Are there going to be talks or?
Yeah, so in terms of live stream, I wish that I had a better answer than I do with regard to that. So I think that the whole community deserves to celebrate, right? So
yeah,
me and Captain will make it happen. We'll do it on
right.
Our channel.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do it on our channel.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So I saw just now. I already sent a message in the group chat. I can talk with you guys on the green in the green room about it.
Okay, that'd be great.
And then in terms of how, what would be live streamed, part of this is going to be very much party like, right? So we wouldn't want to just live stream the chit chat and the fun that's going to happen.
We saw that in Vegas, right? And that doesn't work.
And all that stuff. But there will be.
We saw that in June, and that was a shit show.
But if you have like a keynote speaker or Richard that's going to be on stage for an hour.
So Richard will give a keynote, and then in addition to that, the other thing that is kind of hidden. It's tucked away inside of Hex 731 Gathering is an invitation for those people who are going to be in attendance to apply to be a part of giving small speeches that night. And so the idea is that we would vet, say 10 people each to present for up to 2 minutes their Hex story. And so whether that would be, you take the form of a thank you specifically, whether that would take the form of some way in which their life has been changed or they foresee it being changed in the future, that kind of a thing. And, the thing that I would encourage everyone to understand is the need to keep that tight. We've all gone, I'm imagining, to, karaoke. And there are some songs that feel like they're 22 minutes because they're so painful in terms of performance. And then there are others that just absolutely jaw drop you. And you're like, man, I could listen to this person for the next 2 hours, right?
I always take Freebird on karaoke.
Freebird, nice. Yeah, nice.
The whole version.
A good one too, right?
The entire half-hour version.
Long, 12-minute version.
I'm Bohemian Rhapsody all the way. Just the 16-minute version. So
right, nice, very nice. Yeah, at least there's a sing along to that. But the idea being that we want this to be tight. You'll work with our team to continue to make sure that we can hold you accountable to that. But we really do want to encourage those people who have strong experiences to submit their story as a part of being a part of this celebration and to participate. And we're going to invite 10 of you to take the stage that night alongside Richard and share your story. And we think that will be very powerful. So please, if you've gotten an early bird ticket, if you're a part of the 5555 club, please take a moment to share online. The button is there for you to share your story and to apply to be a part of that live presentation that night.
Someone asked me here. They asked if Matt Damon is playing me. Well, the only way Matt Damon is playing me is if it's Matt Damon playing Jason Bourne playing Kinetics. That's the only way that's happening.
I think I beat you to that one though, bro.
I know.
Did you see that he just?
I don't
came
know,
out
Wales.
with
No one's ever seen your face, bro.
That's true. That's true.
Matt Damon did. So that's wild, man. He's in the space. He's supporting.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, guys, by the way, actually, that's one thing I want to say is even though myself, Captain RG3, and Big K are producers on this film, we are not getting in the way of the storytelling. We're helping facilitate where they see the story needs to go. So we're putting them in contact with the right people, sets, props, all kinds of stuff we're helping out with on the back end. But we are not getting in the way of the story. So we're not dictating where the story is going. And with that being said, I don't even think there's a place for me within the film. And I'm okay with that. But so just so you guys know, we're not doing this to give ourselves credence. So, Gary, did you have a question, buddy?
No. Already booked, so I should be there.
Nice.
For the event. I'm pretty excited about it.
All right, got your ticket ready to go.
Yeah, I was already planning to be in Europe the last part of November, so it's great that this extended into December. Since I'm already fairly close by.
Nice.
And then I guess in the last bits of the few days before the event, we'll be figuring out logistics as far as like restrictions of countries and movement and things like that. I've heard a lot of hesitation because some people, if they're not vaccinated, then they may have some quarantine issue or something like that. But, again, closer to that date, 30 days from now or a month from now, we'll know more details, I guess.
Yeah, I would definitely put an asterisk on making sure that everybody educates themselves on what restrictions exist for where they're coming from, where they're going to, what travels they've done prior to the event, post the event. It's a very complicated environment out there right now, and not one that we can assist you in navigating. It's one that you'll need to navigate on your own. So I think that it warrants looking into what the specifics would be in your individual case.
Yeah, that's one of the things that a lot of people, especially if you're a significant player in the space, participating in pulse chain launch and things like that, you need to really look at what your second passport might be in the near future, what your visa might be in the near future, not just because of taxation, which I always talk about, but also about like these restrictions. You can actually find yourself, like I had people that came to Ukraine from Colombia and then their visa had expired or there's some other issue and they had to go back to a different country to stay there for a couple of days to actually exit back to the other country from a intermediary. So just look at some of those logistics, not to spook people off. You definitely should go to the event. Just look at it, in advance. Don't wait until the day of your flight to find out that, you may have had to make another jump to a different state or a different country.
Yep.
Very cool.
So, and just a quick question, since you're an experienced traveler during this new economy that is the COVID economy, you've been able in a lot of places to use a photocopy or a picture on your phone of your Vax card, correct?
Yeah, you should look at it case by case. There have been times where I had a digital version on my phone, and then I think it's really just like, and again, maybe it's just me being a conspiratist, is the grift economy kinds of things. If you can make money from urging someone to print out a piece of paper so that they can put a stamp on it, and then you later throw it away at the end of the trip, then there are certain countries that do that sort of thing. So I have gone to countries where the digital, everything else has been fine as far as your cell phone or some QR or some, some image capture of your vaccine card if you're vaccinated, or some image capture of your insurance policy. Certain countries require you to have an insurance policy written before you actually arrive to the country. Like Dubai, I was just in Dubai, Ukraine, it requires that same sort of stuff. But there's sometimes at the airport, they'll say, hey, I need to have a physical one, a physical piece of paper, because I got to put my rubber stamp on it. And then they'll charge you $5 to print it out, you know, stuff like that. Little pissant little stuff. But, you know, for the most part, digital has been fine. I haven't had to have a physical copy or lose track of a bunch of documents.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And I know this community is very, for the most part, anti the C19 VAX, but unfortunately, it's if you're gonna travel to some of these events, that's just the world we live in right now.
Yep.
Yeah, you can resist. I mean, you can go off grid and say, I'm not going to, you know, bow down to the man or something like that. I'm going to, you know, live a life off. I do know certain people that are inside the communities that are very anti-vax. But it's interesting how much risk that they take in their regular life, but they don't want to take a vaccine. I'm not pro or negative. I just do go with the path of least resistance as far as that goes. Logistically, if I in the past 6 months, I've gone into maybe 10 countries. And so logistically, it's just easier than the headache of showing my rights of not being vaccinated. I'm already immune to plague and all these other kinds of stuff from military experience. I figure I'm kind of the cockroach to this kind of stuff. I'll just survive it.
They shut you up with everything.
Right. So let me interject here for a second. So while it all sounds good to, you know, want to be mobile and want to enter certain events, that they're clearly using these so-called medical procedures to, I mean, it's basically blackmail. Right. Let's be very clear here. So
okay, I don't want to go down this road.
Hold on, because it's important. Yeah. It's important because everybody has to contend with this issue in order to go anywhere. Yeah. Right. So if the topic is travel, it's relevant. Let's not act like we have to ignore it, because we cannot.
Yeah,
that's not the point of this stream today, though.
No. But the point is
today is the highest of stakes.com, guys. The highest of stakes, and hex731gathering.com. Hex731gathering.com. Go ahead, Wales. Go ahead. I just want to throw that out.
No, I mean, it is about this, but that's the whole point, right? We can't talk about the highest of stakes while not talking about all kinds of risks, right?
That's a loose connection.
Oh, it's a loose connection.
That's really loose, and that is begging. Begging to talk about the thing.
You must think I'm outnumbered on stream today.
I got vaxxed and I died.
You must think I'm outnumbered on stream today, huh?
No.
You must think I'm outnumbered.
Hey,
don't think I ever am.
I never am. It's not the topic.
Yeah, this isn't the topic of the conversation. The topic of the conversation is freedom. And this is what this whole thing is about.
No, that's not the topic of the conversation.
No,
it is,
bro. The conversation is about the documentary.
The documentary,
birthday bash of Hex.
I love you guys.
That's exactly the point.
It's amazing.
Funny. But it's fun. And again, so I was in medicine for 30 years, from 17 years old until like 4 years ago. I really haven't done anything in medicine since then. And I have been in military, special forces, all this stuff that, like Wales also. A lot of us have been ex-military.
Yep,
and you will subject to what they put you through. And then later you realize, hey, maybe that wasn't the best medical practice. Maybe that wasn't the safest
thing to
engage in, right? Of course, you are going to war and you do have bullets blowing, you know, all around you anyway. So your risk profile as a young person, you're immortal. As an older person, you're more concerned about, you know, all these other types of vectors. I would just say that, you know, again, in the limited amount of life that I have left, I'm going to embrace the world. I'm still going to reasonably comply, and it is because I don't want to be locked inside of my living room, inside of a sovereignty of my castle. I don't want that. I do want to embrace the world. And again, the politics of it is different than the biology, the risk profiles. I've been to Africa a lot. There's all kinds of flies that can make you blind if they bite you. There's all kinds of, you know, things in the water that, you know, can give you parasitic disease for life. There's all kinds of stuff like that. You're in vectors. You're in an airplane hurtling 35,000 feet off of the ground at 800 miles per hour, right? So there's all kinds of risks that you tolerate all the time. And this is just another factor.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but the difference is that they're not pushing you off the cliff to engage in all the other risks. So I'll go the other way on this one.
Okay, so I hope everyone knows that I am not a fan of what's going on politically right now. Definitely not a fan of that. But that is still not the topic of conversation today. The topic of conversation is to make everybody aware that we are talking about the highest of stakes. The documentary is under full way. They just spent a whole week and a half with Richard getting more content and building out the filming. And we're looking for more funds for a better post-production. Just keep in mind the actual filming is taken care of this financially at this point. It's a matter of how much more can we get on the back end with stop it, Children of the Grave. All your comments in the chat about the back end. It's enough. It's enough. I'm about to take away that band hammer. But we need to make this the best post-production possible. Get in front of as many OTTs, the big five streaming companies as we can, and get in front of as many eyes as possible. That is the intent here. The intent is to get Hex, this revolutionary financial finished product, in front of the eyes of hundreds of millions, if not billions of people, if possible. That's what we want to do. That is the goal of today's stream. And for those of you who want to meet Richard and want to be part of the 2-year anniversary or the 2-year birthday party for Hex, there is an opportunity to do that today. That is hex731gathering.com, hex731gathering.com. There's only 100 tickets available for the early, and then there's the Cuatro Cinco Club, and it looks like we're almost sold out of both. General admission goes on tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Which is Central Time, Wednesday, November 3rd. So make sure you guys get on there, hex731gathering.com and thehighestofstakes.com to get the wallet address to make sure that there is enough money for post-production so we can make this the best production possible, because Hexicans only do the best.
I think that you may look at the numbers. At least I'm guessing the 5555 might be sold out.
I wouldn't be surprised by that.
So guys, buy your ticket. Send Cabana Crypto his birthday wishes, because it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Cabana. And buy your tickets. Outro.